Hey guys, welcome to Sisters Unfiltered. We are so excited because we started our podcast in February and this is our second season.
That's crazy.
It's so
16
crazy.
episodes down.
16 episodes down. We decided to take a little break for the summer on recording and posting, and so we are getting our season started. And we are actually starting our first episode of the season with two very special guests. And we've only had, two other special guests on the show. So This is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, we thought it would be great just to start with two guests. And so kind of how all this started was we were sitting around at dinner one night, and my brother-in-law Derek, who is one of our guests today, was just telling stories about a business that he owns with my brother Wade, who is also here with us, and my dad. And it was just, we had the best time talking about it. And then the other day I ran into a friend at Target who her son is a senior at UT, and we were kind of like, what are his plans? What is he going to do? And she was just like, everyone right now wants to be an entrepreneur. And, and it made me just think about, from an outside, I've watched these guys, start a business, run a business, and kind of from the outside watching it, I think people see what it is now, but they don't know the beginning story, how hard it is, how great it can be, how it changes you personally, and all of these things. And so today we just thought it would be so fun to talk about that. Yeah. I think there's a lot of listeners and people that we know that their husbands start businesses, or women that start businesses as well. And so we just thought this would just be a wealth of knowledge from these two. So
yeah, for sure.
To have them
and we've kind of talked about this before in our podcast about how people only see sometimes where people end up, maybe, or where they're at that moment, but don't really see what got them there.
Right.
And it hasn't always been easy. And we have lots of great stories from this company about some funny stories, some fails, some successes, and I just think it'd be really cool for us to kind of pick their brains about.
Yeah. So my first question, Derek and Wade, and anybody
First of all, y'all forgot to announce one other thing.
What?
The name change of your podcast.
Oh. What is
Siblings
it?
Unfiltered.
Now, she almost called you the other brother.
I did. I was like,
this is Siblings Unfiltered.
Confusing. This is getting very confusing.
Actually, as soon as Ashley goes, I thought I need to edit that out.
Yeah. Just to be clear, we are married and not siblings.
Yeah, but I said
from Alabama.
Right?
Yeah, you did it right. But us three, just to be clear, Wade, Ashley, and I are siblings. They all, our listeners, our faithful listeners, probably know who you are because we talk about y'all so much.
Oh, they do. I have people come up to me that I just meet, and they're like, they know the whole family.
They do.
Because of the podcast.
Yeah.
But let's start from the beginning. Wade and Derek, the origin story. What inspired you to start your own business? And
let me just go ahead and say this now. So our dad is also, we've talked about this, our dad is a part of this partnership in business, but we've already had him on the podcast for Legacy, and so that's why we're having Derek and Wade today, and Dad is not on here. So just so we're clear, Dad is also a part of this.
He also doesn't think some of those stories are as funny as we all do.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so
ask the question again, sorry.
Yeah, so what inspired you to start your own business?
Derek?
I feel like I was always interested in business to some degree. I grew up around several family members having businesses, but the closest business I was around was my grandmother's restaurant, and it was service, and I just loved service and serving people, and so home services and the moving company kind of fit into that vein, and so that was probably the earliest connection I had to where we've ended up now and getting it started in business.
I would say that's a very nice answer. I would say desperation, because we were all in a spot where we needed to figure out what was next. But
I didn't get fired from a job.
Well, that's
just
we're going to go all the way back there.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Derek did just go
You
there.
also didn't get fired from a job at a church, like I did. So
wow.
I'll say that I was actually been thinking about this recently, because I'm coming to Ashley's place of work soon, and I'm doing a talk, and I've been thinking about kind of what to share. And one of the things that's come to mind is how I'm really not good at a lot of things. Like, I wasn't an academic, right? And I was a maybe above average athlete, but not great or really even good. But I was always good at work. I was a hard worker. I understood the mechanics and the kind of, how a business, and I would go into businesses and I was there was a tension inside of me. I would walk into a business even as a teenager and say, man, how I would do things, I would really want to focus on this, or it seems like maybe they do this well. And I would glean from these businesses that just crushed it. And so there was always something inside of me that I think was drawn to business, and not just drawn to it and understanding it, but wanting to tactically go do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to go in, and I still do that. I'll go into a coffee shop or something, and I want to throw myself into the business and put an apron on. I've never made coffee before. So I think there's just something inside of me that's just always been really, really interested and curious about how businesses and what makes people tick.
Yeah.
So in 2008, correct?
Yep.
This is how this came about, because you guys haven't always worked together, even though it has been about 17 years. So how did that come about? How did a moving company and, how'd you even come up with it?
Let me start by this. So when we went on a quest to go learn about this industry, we learned about a friend of my dad's owned a moving company in Hickson, Tennessee. That's where he lived. And we were going to go and visit this man. And Dad and I go pick Derek up that morning, and we're sitting in front of their house, and we're waiting, and he was supposed to come out, I think, at 7:00, and Dad and I got there at like 6:55, and we're waiting at 7:05, 7:06, and we're like, what's going on? So we call him, and Derek just starts running out of the house, shoes under his arm, no shoes on. And I remember watching him fumble down the stairs and thinking, this is my future business partner.
I'll guarantee you I was wearing non-wrinkle pleated pants and a Brooks Brothers button-up that was not tucked in yet.
You're giving yourself too much credit.
And shoes in my hand.
Yes. And I'm like, I'm banking my entire life on this guy. And he was thinking, the guy in the car just got fired. I'm banking my whole life on this guy.
Because you guys were essentially, all three, including my dad, at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Of what do we do next?
Yeah.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all were young. Like, Derek, how old were
young.
we? 24? 24.
I was 27.
Yeah. So that, really, pretty young.
And then they didn't live in Austin. That's another thing.
Yeah, we lived in Birmingham, but that leads us to what I think, why did we choose a moving company? So we go visit this person and always say the same thing about him. This guy was mean as a snake and country as cornbread, but he showed us enormous amounts of kindness, and he sat down with us for like 5 hours, and his wife made us the best meal I've ever eaten in my life, and he gave us everything. He showed us the books, how they did it, and he built it with his son and son-in-law. And a lot of the questions that people ask us is, why moving? So what we needed to start moving wasn't a plumber's license or a master electrician, or we didn't have to understand, contracting or how to be a barista. We had to have a strong back and a big truck. And Derek and I, being in our 20s, we felt like we could do this.
Yeah,
we could go and move, and we totally undervalued and underestimated how hard that was going to be.
What I hear you saying is we weren't qualified to do anything else, nothing else.
Yeah, but it sounds better the way I say it.
Sure.
And I think I remember, you guys can correct me, is that Dad had already kind of been looking into moving company, like, oh, that might be a good idea to do a moving company.
Well, we looked at dozens of different businesses, and so that one came on the radar. I will say, my father-in-law, once we'd already decided we'd order the trucks, he said to my wife, Kimberly, this is the worst idea I've ever heard, and you guys are crazy if you do this. Because he's in trucking, and he said, this is the bottom of the barrel of the industry, and you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
I told my family, and I had a couple of family members, which I grew up in the country, like very rural, and they said, "Who pays for this service?" Like, and which is funny because we would have never paid for this.
Right.
Service.
We did. I did not pay. I did not have a moving company ever until SquareCow started.
We've owned this company for 17 years, and 5 years ago we moved almost everything ourselves. Kimberly and I. It's so not in our nature to hire someone to do something that I can do.
Derek has done that so many times.
It's our biggest marital fight ever.
It is.
Was me moving us by myself in the snow with our moving truck and not calling one employee
Yes.
to help because I'm
And
like, I will do this.
And we owned the company for how many years at that point? And Derek and I are moving ourselves. And I was like, what are you doing?
And these are the things that you don't see.
But doesn't that lend itself to being an entrepreneur? Is this like, no, like why would I take a guy out there earning revenue and bring him to my house?
Yeah.
I'm going to do this because I can't do that. There's something in the spirit of somebody that's like, that's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We have shifted on that though.
Oh, well.
17 years
with
in.
age.
Once you cross 40, you're
Yeah. It's kind of a
So
downward
it was Austin. Jeremy and I were already out here. My husband and I, we have not been a part of SquareCow, but my husband was in full-time ministry, and they all moved to Austin, Texas, which is where we were starting our church as well. So we get to Austin. You guys get to Austin. And what does your first day look like?
terrible.
Well, hold on.
serious.
First of all, y'all came, so they moved us to Austin with their first 2 trucks that they purchased.
Okay.
So from Alabama, so their first official moves were from Alabama.
And those moves were terrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
They were terrible.
My entrance into this family, to go back even further, was when we moved from college to Birmingham.
Oh, yeah.
And I got made fun of for the next 2 years about how I loaded that U-Haul.
Grill.
Deservedly.
There was charcoal from a grill on every item that we owned.
And he didn't even strap down. And that thing just
It rolled
it just
everywhere. All the
fumbled.
whole
Not
time.
only did he didn't strap it down, we had a truck that was 3 times bigger than how much stuff we
Right.
had.
So it
Yeah.
Because
just
it was the
rolled
only
around.
option.
Right.
And so it was stuff just everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's a miracle that
Look
y'all
what the Lord
are-
has done.
Yeah.
No, but for real, first day, you're like in Austin, you're ready to go, you've got your family moved here. Dad wasn't here yet.
Yeah,
right?
Dad didn't move with us.
On your first day.
Yeah.
What y'all
So
do?
do you remember?
We called our number to make sure it was working over and over.
Your
to make
office
sure the
number?
phone would ring.
We literally, those first few days, we were trying to get to know people and network. And Jeremy, your husband, sent us our first job, and it was this little bitty apartment. And you would have thought we were moving to Taj Mahal. I mean, we were so, and it was also a disaster. But we spent those first few weeks doing our best to just figure it out. We had no.
Did you have an office?
We had the smallest kind of dirty kind of office you could have, and we parked the trucks in this dirt lot that was nearby. And it's similar to, like, I'm trying to think of a situation where you go in and you're forced to do something, maybe network, and you don't know a single soul in the whole room, and you're supposed to go work the room. And it's just, that's how you felt every day. It's like, I need to be doing something, but I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's how we spent the better part of the first year.
And driving trucks around town. Just
Yeah.
empty trucks around town just to
Yeah,
get people to
advertising.
see them.
Yeah, y'all would go park places.
Parketing.
Marketing.
Yeah, we would do parketing.
We still park it to this day.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we would
Is
get
that
calls.
really called?
We would get calls from the places, like, we would go park in front of a Lowe's, like near the street, and they'd be like, "Hey, your truck's been here for 3 hours." And we're like, "Really?
Yeah.
You don't say."
I'm looking for the right refrigerator.
Right, exactly. So we'll be over there soon. Not sure,
Yeah.
just trying to. I
We
mean,
lived in these apartments, us and you guys lived in the same
Yeah.
apartment complex, and y'all would bring them Krispy Kreme donuts. I
Yeah.
remember y'all used to bring donuts to people, like all the
Yeah.
apartments, to get our name out there, so they would refer us to moves, which those apartment complexes were very hard to move, the ones we lived in.
they were very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first day, you're trying to figure things out. What were some of your challenges that you faced early on? If you can name a few.
Well, most notably is the fact that the amount of resources you have is finite, okay? And so we had very little money to do any marketing with, and then we moved to a new city that we had not spent any time in. And so you can't even exercise your own network. You can't use
Right.
your
You
contact
don't have
list. You
relationships,
have
yeah.
no relationship. You have no relational currency
That's
in
true.
this city.
That's true.
And so, and you have a finite amount of resources. If somebody called with a 5-truck move, well, we only have 2 trucks. We only have 2 guys. So you're trying to build something with just no resources, and just the how Herculean that is at first. It is easier to run the business now. We talk about this. It's easier to run a branch with 20 trucks than it is to run one with 2. Just because you have so much more resources.
Yeah.
And the chaotic nature of a 20-truck branch is beyond what is most people can conceive. But it's still easier than a 2-truck branch.
For sure. I would add to that just life, because there was a move in particular. I remember the client's name because it was horrible. It was the worst name of my life, Marissa Alexander. Shout out to Marissa Alexander if you're listening to Sisters Unfiltered.
Her husband's a dentist.
And I was so sick. I was throwing up the whole day in the client's restroom. But there was no one else to do the job.
There's
not an option.
So let's break that down. You can't go to the client and say, we'll come back tomorrow. They closed on their house. They have to be out. They have to move that day.
Yeah.
Secondly, you can't, we don't know anybody. So you can't call and say, hey, somebody, I need you to come help me. There's nobody here to do that.
Yeah.
So we would be two-manning a piece of furniture. Derek would put it down gently. He would bolt to the bathroom. And I would just hold my side until he hobbled back in. And he did that all day long. And then you and I got the stomach bug that same weekend.
Yeah.
The only other human that we knew in the city that would have been capable of helping had helped us before and broke his ankle pretty much.
Jeremy,
Pastor Jeremy.
Yes.
Right.
Do you remember what the husband of Marissa said at the end of that job? I don't know why I'll never forget this. He said, "Y'all didn't charge me enough." And I'm like,
Oh, yes.
that's the worst.
Right.
Like, we just killed ourselves, and you're telling me you should have charged us a few hundred more.
But this also lends to the whole beginnings, right? So we would go in and do estimates, but we had no basis for estimates. So I would walk into every room and be like, hour. You know? it'd be floor to ceiling. Floor to ceiling. So if there were 8 rooms, 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so and so we had no sense of what we were doing, and so the job would take 16 hours, but you had only quoted them 8, and you were only going to charge what you quoted. Go move furniture for 8 hours for free, and you learn very quickly how to estimate because you're forced into it, and you have no resources and no experience, and it was challenging.
Yeah, and then I know you guys tell a story about a mover that you guys hired that had been in the moving industry for a while.
Yeah.
And
Tried to hire.
okay, and he helped y'all a little bit.
So Jeff Cole, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Came to us. We had been maybe 6-8 months working, maybe a year, and he saw an ad or something, shows up, says, I need a job. And we say, do you have experience? He said, yeah, I've been moving furniture for 20 years, but I was moving furniture in Missouri. So I just moved here. I moved in with my parents, and he had just gone through a divorce. And I think at the time he was like close to 50.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually didn't see an ad. He got referred to us by somebody in my networking group. Okay. And so he shows up, and we hire him, of course. He's the only guy we've ever hired that had any experience. And we said, for sure. He goes, I can start tomorrow. We said, for sure. So he gets to the shop the next day. We get in the trucks, we go to the job, and we do the walk through the house. We kind of game plan, and he's like, yes. And he has this old Tom Selleck mustache. Like, he's old school. And then we get back to the truck to like, all right, what are we going to do? He goes, okay, guys, where's the dolly? And we're like, no. Where's the what? And he goes, the box dolly. We're like, tell us more. Okay, so up to this point, 8 months in, we had moved everything with our hands.
No, I didn't know this.
Yes, I love this story.
We did not own a box dolly. Jeff Cole
How did I miss
taught
that?
us.
We almost killed Jeff Cole because he did not have a dollar.
And
and we went and got
he's a tiny guy.
We went and got him
right?
one like the next day. And then our eyes were open, to what something on wheels could do, as if that is
Jeff would
new
move 3 times a weight, and I would move in one trip.
Right,
Just
no
take
question
in
about
what
it.
it would take us 3 trips. But he literally like pretty well passed out his first day.
He did.
He was not in great shape, not for working without a dollar.
Texas heat.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He came from that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And he caused our first 1-star Yelp review. Our first review ever was 1 star because he passed out. We didn't have anybody to backfill him. And, the client got upset, leaves us a bad review. And then this is how we learned about online consumer reviews.
Yep.
Are there clients that stand out to you from those early years that were either super kind or super awful?
Mostly awful. The awful ones. The kind ones.
Yeah, I will say we moved the very first like legitimate house that we moved We moved her again a year or two ago, and she was in a totally different city. But she told the person doing the estimate, I think I was their very first move. Can you ask them?
Yeah.
And we thought she hated us because it was our first job ever, and it took us till like midnight.
And that's the one that y'all.
And she
that's
was-
the one y'all carried the trampoline.
Yeah,
we rolled
we rolled the trampoline.
Down the street.
She moved like a couple streets over. We rolled this trampoline down.
Yo, if I looked out my window and I saw somebody doing that, I would fire them right that moment. I would just say, leave it in the street. You guys go. We'll figure it out.
And she's like, these guys don't know what they're doing.
She was so complimentary though to the guy in Dallas
lovely.
about how great we were, and I'm thinking, what?
She's
Derek
probably-
has never forgotten her name or anything.
Nope.
He will always remember her.
But here's the reality. 98% of the people that we have moved or served over the last 17 years are amazing. Salt of the earth. Referred us when they shouldn't have. I mean, I think when I called her and talked to her, or I can't remember how it went, I was like, I can't believe that you are referring us or you're using us again. Do you not remember how big of a mistake or how big of a disaster it was? I've said that to many clients.
Yeah.
And typically they say, like, I don't remember really, but I remember really liking you guys.
Yeah.
Because our goal was always to really serve at a high level. And when things went wrong, we just fell over ourselves trying to fix it. And it goes back to that old saying we've all heard, people don't remember what you do, they remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And typically, we really wanted to make them feel good. I will say one of my favorite early stories was Derek sweats a lot. And
Yeah.
I call him the Patrick Ewing of moving. And because you can't really explain how much he sweats. So what would often happen, a heavy sweater, as they call him,
And mind you, Wade and Derek lost a lot of weight.
Oh, you did.
lost
Their
40
first
pounds
year,
Yeah,
in
they
the first
did.
summer.
Their first
Yeah.
summer, yeah.
And Derek would lose all of his all the hydration, and he would start cramping, and he would turn into the Tin Man, and he would fall over literally like a Tin Man. I've watched this happen. Like if you take a mannequin at a department store, push it over, that's what it was like. He would fall over, and it would make that noise like kaplunk.
Yeah.
Okay, so he starts cramping at this one job in this neighborhood nearby, and this lady is she's like a holistic person.
Yep.
And so she's like, Derek's sitting down, and we're apologizing. We're so sorry. We won't charge you for this time. And I'm still just going.
You're the only other one on the move. There's
the
no
only people on the planet that work for
Wade's
this company.
still working.
I'm still rolling down. I'm doing all the stuff, and I always knew Derek would work until he would pass out. Like he's a mule. The guy you can't stop him. So at this point, he's basically passed out, and this lady's trying to like help him. And so she gets him in, she gives him water. He's in the kitchen, and I'm just still going in and out. And she starts getting some of her holistic, medicines.
Yeah.
So she gets out a lotion that will help loosen up relax your muscles. I don't know this. No one's shared this with me. I'm an innocent bystander. So I remember walking in with things in my arm, and I walk into the kitchen, and she is rubbing this stuff on his hairy, sweaty legs, and he looks at me like he's like, "Get me out of here!" And I felt like I walked in on somebody like in the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I apologize for walking in her kitchen." And she is in there. She's like, "We're gonna get this taken care of." And I was passing out.
That is.
I remember this. I was sitting on her kitchen
Counter.
counter, like just like this, and she was massaging my thighs. And I'm too nice to even like say anything, so I'm just watching Wade go by, and I'm like, I don't know.
Hey, you know what? He got back to work.
Yeah.
It might
We're
be.
gonna get
She
some more of that.
tried to sell me Advocare at the end.
Yeah,
at the end of
that's
that
what it
move.
was.
I was like,
Smart lady.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so what, kind of going back, well, I'm sure we'll share some more stories, but what strategies helped you guys grow your business? You mentioned a couple of them just by the marketing and that kind of thing, but as you've gotten going, you talk about a business networking thing, but what were some strategies to grow it? Because I think people could stop right here, hear these stories, and be like, how are these guys still going 17 years later?
Yeah.
You guys had to have had some strategies. There's also some culture things I would love for you guys to talk about. You mentioned it a little bit about how you make people feel, your clients, those sort of things.
Yeah.
But
And with that, I'm going to add, like, there was a time period where I feel like it was like rough. There was like a turning point.
A tiny period?
No, I said a time period.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you said a tiny period too.
No. There was a turning. I said a time period, but there was a turning point at some point. So that's kind of goes along.
It was
with
5 years of hell.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, 2008 to 2013, and maybe 2012 we started loosening up because I think we bought a couple of trucks that year, and we started to kind of feel the momentum of the business starting to grow. But it was 4 to 5 years of lean Christmases.
Yeah.
When I say that, like the kids didn't get much.
Yeah.
We did not go on vacation. We didn't go out to eat. We just didn't have the option. Kimberly didn't get her nails done. You know, all the things that we
rented our houses. We all rented our houses.
There was Kimberly and I call them the dark years. And so we spent the first 4 or 5 years absolutely breaking our necks to try to make this work. And you ask, what are some of the things you did? So one of the things we did is we didn't take money out of the business.
Yeah.
For 5 years, we did not, other than our very meager salaries. I think the first year we made $11,000 each. That was what we made.
Yeah.
And I had 2 kids. You guys had 2 kids?
Yeah, we kept having kids, but we had them on Medicaid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, do you understand the discipline you have to? So our goal wasn't to take more money out of the business. It was take enough money out, which was probably $40,000 or $50,000 a year for those first 4 or 5 years. We could have taken more, but we couldn't have bought that next truck. Mm-hmm. We couldn't have hired that next driver. We couldn't have tried that marketing thing that we did. And so we exercised incredible discipline, and we all 3 did it. Usually 1 out of the 3 is spending. In a partnership.
True.
Usually somebody's like, man, this is terrible. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. We all maintained a certain level of discipline around our cash. Mm-hmm. And looking back, I think this was harder than I'm giving it credit for even now, is us just looking to our left and looking to our right and seeing other people flourish and other people drive new cars and other people move into their dream home. And you're still in that rental house, and the most expensive meal you had that month was at Chick-fil-A on family night because the kids ate free.
Which we did do.
Every Tuesday. So I would say that was a big thing.
Do you think that you think that way? I thought about this too, because sometimes I look back at things I did when I was younger, and maybe it's that you're naive. And so you just put your head down and you do it. Like, if you think now, at your age, could I do that again? Or do you ever look back and think, like, how did we do that?
I don't know if I could, to be honest with you. It was having done it and knowing what it is. I don't know if I can make myself sign up for that.
Right.
I know that I couldn't.
Yeah. Yes. I've thought about this too. I'm like, it was kind of fun to start a business, and I'm like, that was hard.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to go back to that or even consider it.
Right. It's, the good thing is we had not, Dad had success, but you and I had not had success. So we had not had it and then gone back to that situation.
Yeah, which I do think is a much harder scenario.
Yeah, for sure. But I think another thing that we did was we did a lot of guerrilla marketing. We could not afford a billboard. We couldn't afford, much of anything. And so we went to every networking event. We tell this story about a guy that we were moving. He was having this kind of event where different businesses came and set up booths. Mm-hmm. And we had no information on it. And he says, hey, we were moving him. He said, hey, it's tomorrow night. Y'all want? I'll give you a free booth. And we were like
a job fair or?
I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
It was hang time.
Obviously, I haven't heard this one.
He just said it's an event, and we've sold slots to businesses so they can come set up and advertise for their business. That's all I heard. And I said, we'll be there. Again, if somebody told me tomorrow night from this moment and where we are that I got to go do something for my work tomorrow night, I'd be like, you've gone crazy. But we were like, we moved probably 12 hours that day. And I said, where are we going? We'll be there tonight. And so we show up. We didn't have like a pipe and drape system. So we set up dish packed boxes, and we hung a banner on the boxes that we put together.
That's great. Yeah.
We had a table. We had a few things to hand out that Stephen Burton had designed.
Yeah.
And then we were like, so what's the event? It was a lingerie. Runway lingerie event. I'll tell you this, Dad was there about 0.9 seconds. One moment he's there, and I look like he's gone. Okay, I mean, We didn't even know.
We have the funniest picture from our booth of it, and your dad is literally sitting there, just the funniest look on his face. But knowing what's going on behind the picture makes it hilarious.
I've never heard
I
that.
think
But
I remember this.
The
now.
point is that we were doing things way outside our comfort zone out of absolute desperation because we did not have a plan B.
Yeah.
There wasn't like we'll fall back on this.
Oh, right.
No, like this is the plan. And what the guy said, the guy that we learned from in Tennessee, he said, we're going to do this, we're going to die trying.
Yeah.
If we fail, it's because somebody ran us over in the middle of the night moving people.
Yeah.
And we had that mentality really every day of like, this is the only option. We have to put food on the table. And when you get to that level, you do go to every networking event. You do try everything that's free. And we would you can go to a donut shop, by the way, at 11 o'clock in the morning and clean out everything they have for about $30.
Yeah.
You know that because you walk in and you're trying to figure out how many donuts. They're like, I'll sell everything for $30.
Yeah.
So like,
Right.
box it up.
Yeah.
And then you start giving it out to people. You find these little ways to try to get in front of people. And people, here's the other thing. People understand when someone desperately wants something and they want to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we would get in front of them, we say, hey, this is what we're all about. We're passionate about it. And when people express themselves in that way, they don't just say, yeah, but they start thinking there's a trigger for them. I'm going to find something to help these guys out.
Yeah.
I'm going to find somebody that needs to move.
Yeah.
I know somebody down the street or the cubicle next to me or a lady I go to church with. There's somebody that something gets triggered inside of you and you say, I'm going to help these guys out.
Yeah.
Well, and people see you sweating, cramping, getting massaged by your customer, and they feel bad for you.
Yeah, they do.
They're like,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever to help
Yeah.
these guys.
Yeah, there's still good people out
Yeah.
there. So what do you think made the turning point? You said 5 years was really tough. Do you think it was just doing the work for 5 years and then it just started to turn in the direction that you guys wanted?
Before we say that, I do want to say this. So I was a wife during this time, and I know it was like super hard. And I remember, I think it was like way harder for y'all than it was for us, because I don't like look back at that time and feel like it was like.
Then it was.
I just think either mom and dad raised us, not to like poor mouth or to just not have poverty mentality, right? So like I remember, I knew that we didn't make a lot of money, and I knew we rented our houses, and I knew all those things, but like I don't remember being like, I don't know, like it's
Like
maybe God just
depressed
gives you that
or-
grace that just
Yeah.
covers your eyes. It's like, hey, like everything's fine, I mean, I knew it was hard. I think it was way harder for y'all because y'all were doing the work on that, and Kimberly and I were staying over the kids. Now I remember about losing my mind how many times Derek would come home at like midnight, and I wouldn't, y'all would go days without seeing your kids,
But I would actually turn that on its end as well, though, because I don't look back honestly and think that having 3 kids in 3 years was honestly ever all that hard. But Kimberly would probably be like, "You've lost your mind."
No,
I was
no,
at
yeah,
home
for sure.
because she was in it.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And
yeah.
she, you guys had 5 kids in 7 years or whatever. And so I think, whatever your perspective is, the first 5 years, our home, even though we didn't have a lot and our kids were young, it was a sanctuary compared to our worst.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it was hard for y'all, but y'all did a good job of not making it feel hard at home. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I'm trying to like translate that to people who are listening. That
Yeah.
like if they're starting a company, there are ways to work and grind, and it might be really hard, but y'all did a really good job of not necessarily like bringing that
it
home.
Yeah.
So I'm able to look back, and our kids could look back. They're not gonna remember that, but it'd be like, yes, it was hard, and I definitely don't want to go back to that, but our house was still a peaceful place. Does that make sense?
It's hard because I've heard the stories, but maybe they don't remember or they didn't experience it.
Yeah.
And that was because we protected it. And I think we did that working with family too.
Yes.
We would
Yes.
work, and then we would have Christmas together, and we'd
Yes.
have Thanksgiving together, and we were always pretty careful not to bring work.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you
No,
guys
y'all
did a great
did.
job. I mean, I remember multiple times. The only way I would know that you came from a move or from work was because you'd be wearing your SquareCow uniform to the birthday party or to whatever. But y'all weren't talking about it. You weren't really even talking about the day of the
Yeah.
business. We were just in family time at that.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
y'all, and they decided, from the beginning that I mean, there was a couple times that we came in and helped. The wives would come in and help. But one, we couldn't. I mean, we had little, if Kimberly came and helped, I was keeping y'all's kids,
Right.
or Ashley or whatever. So it wasn't really an option. But y'all kind of decided, because it was a family business, to kind of keep the wives out of it. And not in a disrespectful way, but more like we all agreed.
Self-preservation.
Yes, it was a better option to kind of not keep the wives involved in all that. And I appreciated that. So I'm just saying, for someone who maybe is in this position now, those are some things that also helped a lot with family life intertwining with, you know, a company together. So
to answer the question about how did we make it, right? How did, you know, I think there's a few factors. Obviously, God's favor, and just he anointed this business, and it should not have made it. We started in 2008. It should not have worked.
With not a
1,000 different ways, it shouldn't have worked. But I do think there are some timing pieces where Derek and I, because we started in 2008 and we worked so hard in those first couple of years, we learned how to do things really efficiently because we had to. And so we would get done with a move at 4 o'clock and go do another move.
Yeah.
We'd start a move at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we did it all the time. It wasn't, you know, somebody would call, you know, for a same day move and say, hey, I have this small move, and we would finish something on a Saturday, again, 6, 7 o'clock, and then go do that move. And so that builds inside of you this ability to kind of be efficient. And how do you do this? And how do you make it work? How do you do it with not spending that much money? And so we learned during the hardest times, and I think that galvanized kind of how we run the business. So I think there's a factor. I think we're well branded. I think our brand, if people are attracted to it, it makes sense. I think we are a family. We do best when we serve families, and so our target audience fits us really well. And so there's all these little things that just work. Also, we're in Central Texas, and there may not be a time since, you know, in the last 1,000 years of a better place to be economically than Central Texas over the last 15 years.
Right. People moving.
We happen to be in an incredible geographic place to start a small business.
yeah.
You said God's favor first, and your dad and I were just talking about that the other day because one of your boys, I think, asked us, do you remember the beginning, like when you got started, like who sat down first and said, let's start this thing, and then what were your original obstacles? And we both looked at each other and we were like, there was no friction for like, it was hard, but that whole first year, like decisions just came to, from my memory, easy. And it was just things just progressed.
Which isn't normal when you have 3 people having to make
Yes, we were never wrestling with like, ooh, are we supposed to do this? Do we do this? We were just like going.
Yeah. And
it was pretty frictionless in decision making and what we were gonna do and alignment with us and all that. And it just feels like, looking back on it, to me, so led by the Lord and all of that in His favor.
Yeah.
How's owning your own business, entrepreneurship, changed you personally?
It's really hard to work for somebody else. Not from a place of handing the authority to someone over you. It's just when you've been in that position, going back in because I have since done that, and putting kind of, you know, your vision aside and attaching your vision to somebody else, it's tough. I mean, it's a tough thing. That has changed me. It's opened my eyes to what's possible. So if we lost everything tomorrow, like somehow, some way, everything went away tomorrow, I truly believe that God's given me a gift and He's shown me a way where I could earn it all back.
Yeah.
And so it's changed me in my confidence and what I believe is possible and what I can teach other people to do. And so I think some of those ways, I mean, and just one of the things I always say is, people always say, being an entrepreneur or working for yourself, nobody's above you. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, nobody's above you and there's no job beneath you.
Yes.
No job beneath you. And so you're mopping the floor while everybody else is moving furniture.
Yeah.
And you're answering the phones and you're doing payroll.
Yeah.
There's no glamorous part of this. And so the other thing is, it's not a problem for me to go to my church and volunteer, and I'll grab a broom and a mop, and it doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah.
No job beneath me. I'll do whatever. What do you want me to clean toilets? I'll wipe down that glass. I will, and nobody even has to ask me to do it. I'll just do it. So how has it changed me, and I think us, is that willingness to just throw yourself into any job and to do anything at any time, because that's the thing that needs to be done next.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I think it's kind of like getting married or having kids or anything big life thing that you tackle. It changes you to some degree. It makes you grow up. It makes you learn things about yourself. And so to all that, I would add it makes you better. Like you learn how to be a better leader, how to manage people, how to work with people. Mm-hmm. You talk about not having a boss, but my perspective has always been we have 1,000 bosses. Like,
that's right.
The customer is the boss. Every single time, every day, they all have a different expectation, different needs. And so you're learning so much and trying to add value to people, customers, employees, all that. And you have to grow yourself as your business grows, or you become the ceiling for your business. And so I think there's just a ton of personal growth inside of building a business.
That's good.
Yeah. I think so. It's so cool, like you guys say those things, because also there's 8 boys in our family, like all of our kids, 8 boys, and then the girls. But I think the boys have seen that in y'all and Dad, even Jeremy, like do businesses, lead, all these things where I believe that they also have the belief that you do, that like no matter what, I can go do something because I've seen my uncle and my grandpa and my dad do that I can go do that. You know, because I don't think that's always the case for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's been really, really cool. Y'all hit on this a little bit, but how do you balance work and personal life, especially during an intense growing season? Because you feel the weight if you own your business, of that business. You also have a family.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a pet peeve with like the idea of work-life balance and the chasing that that you can hear in culture. I actually heard someone say it recently that they have this theory on what work-life balance and how it became such a big deal that there was people running 200 miles an hour, like working 200 hours a week, and they have these crashes, and then they write a book about how you should be reasonable in how you work, and then they come back and they work for 90 hours a week, and they're like fine, like they can maintain that pace. And then a lot of people read that book that work 40 hours a week and they want to scale back to 20 because they read this guy's story. Mm-hmm. And for me there's like this seasons thing, like I cannot express to you how many hours we worked year 1 to year 5. There was no end to working.
That's right.
Even being at birthday parties, and you're talking about us not talking about it, I was thinking about it.
I'm sure.
100% of the time, I'm thinking about it. We are doing schedules for tomorrow in the bed at night at midnight, trying to think through how to manage the next day. And I mean, there's a lot of stress that comes along with that, but I never felt like we shouldn't be doing this. We're not prioritizing family. Like, I just felt like that was the season for us to do that.
Yeah. Yes.
And it afforded us the opportunity to do what we do now, which is a little bit less of that.
Yeah.
So.
I could not agree more. And so the pet peeve I have that's adjacent to that is this whole self-help rest thing that we moved into as a culture, where you have to take care of yourself, and you shouldn't ever be anxious, and you should only work 40 hours, and every time your wife who's nursing gets up, you should get up too. I totally disagree with it. I think it is snowflake, and I think everybody has their lane, and you need to stay in your lane. And sometimes during a season, you are working 100 hours a week because what do you live like no one else? So you can live like no one else.
Right. Yeah.
And so we worked those first 5 years, and so now for the last 10 years, I haven't missed a ball game, haven't missed a birthday. Not that we missed a lot of that stuff before. We'd show up in those first 5 years looking like we gave up on life. You know what I mean? Like
trying to book a move in the background.
Right.
You know?
Oh no!
Oh yeah, for sure.
Literally,
Oh, no.
our phone rang all the way up until when you went to bed and after.
Yeah.
If you had to pay for minutes on your cell phone after we started this business, we wouldn't have been in business.
Right. I mean, and so that I don't regret it for a second. And I think our culture has gone too far the other way, and we've got to pull it back. And I think the boomers went too far the other way. Yeah. They worked too many hours and too many jobs, and so everything's about balance. And we've become imbalanced. And I think pulling it back the other way is, for a season you're gonna kill yourself, and it's gonna be really hard, and it will be galvanizing, and you will have grit. And I talked to Blake a lot about this, Ashley's son. And because he asks a lot of questions, he inquires a lot. And I'm like, you do it so you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And everything's front loaded. You want great kids, front loaded the
Right.
discipline.
Yes. We've
You-
talked about this
We
on the
have.
podcast.
Yeah,
several-
and
yes,
so
yeah.
a business front loaded. You
Yeah.
work your tail off so you don't have to work.
Yeah, but that's not. But the culture right now is they want the
Instant.
back end on the front end and then the middle and on the back
Well,
end.
and
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
You
Like
can-
it's
It's not
just,
realistic.
It's not realistic.
You can spend 5 minutes on Instagram and hear 17 ways that you can make $1 million,
Right.
and it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I
I
will-
just don't think that's real.
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
will
not.
never forget when y'all said that. How many times you're on the phone? I remember we signed up Parker, I think, for T-ball, for like YMCA T-ball or something. It was like down at Oak Hill, and you couldn't come, or you were working something. Y'all, I remember Parker wouldn't run the bases. And why? This is stuff you learn. Never sign a 4-year-old up for any organized sport. I had to learn that,
Yeah.
in my opinion. It's a waste of your time. But you know, you're so excited because Parker's our oldest. Y'all, he would not run the bases. I was holding Micah's hand, front packing Anne Marie. Derek was not there, and I was running the bases with Parker because Derek was working.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to lose my freaking mind right
There's
now.
a sermon in that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
drove our moving truck to a lot of games. I remember me and you together going to one of your son's games
For
in
sure.
downtown
Tarrytown,
Austin,
Tarrytown.
pulling in a moving truck and trying to find somewhere to park. Like,
Why was Tyler signed up for
I
baseball
don't
at
know.
Tarrytown?
We did some
We
crazy
don't
things. I don't know. I wasn't from here. I didn't know. I didn't know where it was. I didn't know.
So
When I look back at pictures during that era, if I don't have a SquareCow shirt on,
No, y'all
it's
do.
I'm like, I must have been sick.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, what was going on? Is this in a different state?
Yeah.
You know, like, because I just wore the same thing every single
in the
day.
khaki shirt to the square house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
every
all the
day, for
videos
years.
for
Everything.
for sure.
And that's okay though. That's the problem is that no one thinks that's okay. They want to be with the wives when they have the baby. First of all, and also let's talk about that.
Yeah. Was it Abby Kate? When Derek and I were on a move, and Lindsay's calling Derek saying, I'm on my way to the hospital because I'm in labor. And he hangs up, and I'm like, you've got to go. He's like, I'm going to help you with a few more pieces.
Oh,
Then
this
I'll
was
head that
Micah.
way.
This was
It was
Micah.
Micah.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. You know, I let him. I was
You're
like,
like,
I knew,
"That's
I knew.
fine."
You're like, I'll let him deal with that.
Right, yeah.
Derek drove up in his SquareCow. He's chunking things in the car. When I think actually he came home and drove me there, but once we got there, I was 7.5 centimeters dilated.
Yeah.
Derek worked all day.
Right.
And then not only that, every baby that I birthed in the hospital, Derek would be like, I'm not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna leave early. Every baby. So literally, like 30, it would be like a few hours.
you were
too.
just sitting there.
He'd be like,
True.
he'd be like, so, would you be okay if tomorrow I like work half a day? Y'all, I am in the hospital with a newborn baby. And Derek, by the time Abby Kate came, I was like, you're gonna work. It doesn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about
This is
this.
reality.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it just, I'm not mad about it. Would I've chosen that? No, but it is what it is. You
It's
know,
just part of it.
it's just part of it. You know.
Yeah.
I forgot about this, but one time I was playing drums for Jeremy's church. I put the drums in the moving truck. We were finishing a job in Westlake somewhere. We got our truck unloaded, and I helped them as long as I possibly could and drove straight to the church in the moving truck with my drums in the back and went in my stuff and just set up and played.
And these guys, by the way, they started this moving company when we started our church. So not only would they move for their company, it was just them two. They would come to church and do setup and tear
Yeah.
At like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
all
Sundays.
the time.
Every Sunday.
And so I think like you can do so much more than you think you can do,
Yeah.
and you'll make it. And I guess like one of my questions is if there's someone listening that wants to start their own business, what advice would you give them? What's some of your best advice? And we've hit on a lot of it. They picked up probably so much from this conversation. But what advice would you give someone wanting to start their own business?
So the first thing I would say is don't follow your passion. I know it's not popular. It's not popular.
It's not flashy.
I think this is the kiss of death. You know, if you're passionate about coffee, you're going to be poor. You have any cups of coffee, you're not the next Starbucks.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: chase big margins.
Yeah.
If you chase margins, you're going to be passionate about it because you're about to make a lot of money. And so when you're look for things that have really big margins that nobody else wants to do. Guess what have really great margins but nobody else wants to do? Moving. So you are deliberately and intentionally going to find something that people hate doing, and you're raising your hand saying, I got this.
Yeah.
So there's some intentionality in that, saying I'm not going to go chase my passions, and I'm not going to go chase something easy. I'm going to go chase this thing that's really hard, but the margins will support my life. And so that's one thing. The second thing, I think the biggest deterrent from anybody starting a business is a paycheck.
Yes.
They're addicted to a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
They're addicted to somebody else handling their insurance. They don't understand quarterly payroll taxes.
Yeah.
Guess what? We didn't either. We figured it out. There's a fear about leaving the security blanket of a paycheck. There's a fear about, I don't know how to even get my own insurance. I don't even know how to pay taxes. You can figure all that out in a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard.
And even more so now than when y'all did it.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
you could just ask ChatGPT.
That's exactly right.
I was gonna say that's the least of your real problems once you get going.
But
But
it
it
stops
it's
people
an
from
deterrent.
starting.
It
100%.
And so you can go get an LLC from LegalZoom in an hour. You can have one in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And I remember playing basketball with a guy. I played pickup basketball for about 10 years, and the same guy, got to know him really well. And he spent 3 years talking about leaving his job, and he's I'm going to go do this business. And he just talked about it, and it never happened because it was, well, I got to get my website,
Yeah.
and then I was like, I got to get business cards, and it was all these things, and I'm like, no, go do it, go start the business, and all that stuff will fall in line.
Uh-huh.
And so I think a lot of people are addicted to the paycheck and the security of all that, and it's the thing that's keeping them from what could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, that's like how we did it, and was literally 2 of my answers. I've told many friends, find something nobody wants to do that's the grossest, hardest thing you can find, and if you can do it like with a kind heart and treat people well, you will have business.
That's right.
If you can serve people well in that kind of industry, you will have business. And number 2, I had a friend that asked me the same thing. He's like, I have this business idea. He's probably mid-30s at this point, and so he's got a career, and he's going to start it. He's going to work it from 5 to 7 every night, and he's going to grow this thing. And I literally said, you can't halfway do it. Like, I know people do that. People do side hustles, and they grow it and whatever. Like, I've heard that. That's fine. I don't know how that's possible.
A side hustle becomes a side hassle. Every
Yeah.
time. I know very few people that actually turn it into a thriving business and grows the business. You just don't have time for it.
You don't do the things you have to do until you have to do them.
That's true.
The
That's what I was
The
thinking.
desperation piece is so important, and you will not have that. You will get to 5:15 p.m. and be like, I don't have to do it today because I can do it tomorrow, and
Yeah.
I'm
I
getting my
agree with
check
that.
Tuesday anyway. Like, nothing's urgent.
Yeah.
You literally cannot start from scratch a business without that mentality.
I'll tell you another thing that we got really good at is saying, we don't know. And so what it leads you to is a network of people that are willing to help you. So reached out to my college roommates, Cliff and Steven, who to this day help me all the time with my businesses, all the time. And they're always happy to.
Yeah.
And I help them as well. And then there was a guy that we moved that ran hotels. And, you know, I called him to say, how did his experience go with us? And he was like, it was really good, a couple of things. I said, can I have coffee with you? And we went, and he is the one that gave us the whole idea around our SquareCow survey. And he was like, you have to find a way to find out people's reactions to your service. And in that moment, we created this survey. It was because I was willing to say, what do you got? How do you do it? We want to do what you've done. And your willingness to say, we don't know what we're doing, and use your network. What I always say is people are willing to help you. They don't know how to help you. You have to ask them.
Yeah.
And that's relatable to business and life in general.
Sure.
Like if you always go with the posture of I don't know, and you're finding people to help you, people want to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it translates across life. You know,
Absolutely.
I think. We're about to finish up, but I have one more question for you both, and I both want you to answer it. But when it comes to owning your own business, in just the last 17 years, what are you most proud of?
Most proud of.
Most proud of.
There is something special about. So I personally don't think I will ever start a business by myself. I really have no interest in it. 0 interest in it. And there is something special about what Dad, Derek, and I did. And we did it together.
Yeah.
We built something together. And I honestly, like, I do have some PTSD from those early days. I use that playfully. But there is something about when you drive by our 40,000 square foot warehouse, and I never do it without praying and saying, Lord, thank you for this building. Thank you for what you've done for us. Or you see one of our trucks, and knowing that we were a part of all that and we did it together. And I'm not just saying that because Derek's here. There is something special about it that you can't replicate.
Yeah.
I would not have that same feeling if I did it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I would say too, and I don't know if sticking with it is the right way to say this, but there's just been there's been so many ups and downs. And I think especially in this culture, there's so many people that build something to sell it, or like, I don't know. I mean, we talked about it being a legacy company. We all have kids. That's kind of been in the background, but I mean, when things are hard and the ups and the downs and even the highs, like, I just think there's opportunities to make different decisions. And 17 years to have the same business that still runs today and still thriving, to me is a long time.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's that common.
No.
So just maintaining what it is today for this long is probably what I'd say.
Yeah, I definitely think consistency is underrated in just our culture. And so just to have something that you've been consistently working hard, giving to the Lord, being humble, seeing what happens. And I know it hasn't been easy, and there have been some hard times overcoming those things. Like, there's just something that I don't think that's super common, you know, anymore.
Yeah.
People give up really quickly.
So one thing that I just feel like I know you guys have talked about the things that you guys have probably been the most proud of in the business, but you know, I just think all these years, you know, from when y'all first started to now, there was a turning point, but then there's been like a lot of ups and downs. I feel like since the turning point, and there was a time where things got really hard for a little bit there. And I always say I was so proud of y'all because I feel like y'all shifted super quickly during that hard time, and you know, kind of got back to the basics. And I think that's really hard to do. How many years into the business was that?
10,
10 years into the business to kind of reevaluate, strip back down to the basics. And y'all really took kind of a big slice of humble pie essentially and really humbled yourselves. And I always say that not just anybody can do that. And I've just always been really proud of you guys for doing that, and Dad. And then kind of building it back up from where it was. And obviously the Lord is the person who's given a lot of favor and strength to do that. But I always thought that was pretty amazing. So I will end with this, just so you guys know a little bit about SquareCow. So you guys started with how many trucks?
2.
Right? How many trucks do you have now?
60.
60 trucks. So 2 to 60, just to give some context on, you know, what's going on. And then the other thing is if you're interested in a move in Austin, Texas, or Houston, Dallas.
We're not paying you for this ad.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. So if you're interested in move, 512-401-6683, SquareCow Moovers. And then the other cool thing is that they have taken a turn in the sense of now SquareCow is selling franchises. So if you're in another state or you know anyone who is interested in purchasing a franchise, you guys are doing that, and it's kind of picking up and it's going good now. So it's pretty exciting, and I just think the Lord has done some pretty amazing things through SquareCow. Also, one thing that I love about SquareCow, and I know that it's, you know, my husband and my dad and brother, but their passion is to give, and I really feel like SquareCow has been. The Lord has blessed SquareCow to be able to bless other people, and that has been huge. So the experience has been kind of crazy, but God gets all the glory and hard work and all of that. You guys have been amazing. So
I think also just the fact that we can get together as siblings and be unfiltered.
Yes,
Siblings Unfiltered.
I know. And for one episode, we can be called the Siblings Unfiltered. One.
Maybe
Can you please add
no.
at least weight to the graphic?
For
I'm
this
just in
one.
background.
Oh, like a little popped up head in the background. So,
But thank you all for coming on the podcast
Yeah.
and taking some time just to chat today. I think it's going to help a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah.
for it to go out.
our passion is just to encourage people in their state of life, but also be real about it and unfiltered, because the bottom line is nothing's easy. I really don't believe that. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will be back next week.
Yep.
Bye.